Gələcəyə baxış, əsas tendensiyalar və məsələlər mövzusunda məruzə etmək üçün söz verilir Pricewaterhouse şirkətinin baş qlobal məsləhətçisi cənab Jan Sturesson.
Salam, distinguished participants and dear guests, thank you. It's a great honor for me, Jan Sturesson, PwC, Sweden, Global Leader of Government, to be here in this wonderful country, in this wonderful city. And I think there are some strong links from Sweden to Azerbaijan. There were some brothers of Nobel doing some interesting things here 100 years ago. And in 3 months' time, we will have in my city, in the south of Sweden, the Eurovision Song Contest, because Sweden were very lucky here last year. Thank you for that. So, having said that, I would like to take us through a little journey in 10-12 minutes about where we are and so on. And I congratulate you to what you have been achieving. We've been seeing World Bank, the World Economic Forum, which I work a lot with in Davos and so on, and also EBRD and others who make this analysis. You're improving constantly. That's fantastic. Without that improvement, it would not be good to gather here today to speak about things in the future. And we can see here from EBRD, the transition report, as a lot of good facts, which you have been accomplished the last year. So having said that, we have now to, so to speak, implement the vision. And this is a very important thing. Without vision, people, countries, cities will perish. You have a strong vision in place. That's the most relevant thing. We have to consider the future as the most valid asset. When I look through tons of documents from this country, I see there is a vision. I congratulate you to that. And we've been a lot into different processes in PwC, how to make it happen, all these visions. And that's a very important part about implementing. At the same time, of course, you have a lot of challenges. There are challenges everywhere in different places of the world. And it's about diversifying the economy. It's about creating a robust rule of law society, increased transparency, etc., etc. But it's also about human capital. It's about finding the talents for the future. And to walk in the interface, in the in-between spaces between generations, industries, sectors of societies, and so on. I think an open economy trying to address and be more competitive to attract foreign direct investment is key. And I know you are on the track. But the point is that we need to figure out how do we really come across, because vision comes from inside, trends comes from outside. If we can connect the inside vision with the trends, which creates the conditions, so to speak, for what we can do. You can see here a trend which we can call glocalization. It's starting in the local, in the left-west corner, traveling northeast to a global, more collaborating society. I would say we have glocalization and co-opetition today. We're competing and collaborating at the same time. We are local here, but we are global at the same time. A huge potential, an opportunity for Azerbaijan in the future. We compete about talent, people, money, companies, jobs, foreign direct investments, and events in sport, arena, games, politics, music, culture, and so on and so forth. It's a huge competition. I feel it strongly wherever I go, China, US, Middle East, and Sweden, of course. So a very important thing is to say, okay, how do you make it happen? The amalgamation between spheres and to create a new innovation system with university, private sector, central sector, federal sector, not-for-profit, and local leaders in cities are a key for the future. That is the new playground for growth and development. We've seen it everywhere. The question is, who will be the heroes of the future, who leads in between these spaces, between university, government, private sector, and so on and so forth. So I would say we're standing on the brink to a new capitalistic era. It's not only financial capital, it's social capital, environmental capital, democratic capital. At the same time, we have, in history, have had a lot of industries, automotive, aviation, transportation. So that's history. Today, we have clusters of ICT, clusters of tourism, clusters of finance, and that's current situation. But the future lies in this. It looks like, after we have been analyzing 39,000 acquisitions in Europe, who is buying whom and why, we are going into a new industry era of issue-based clusters. We can see here the creative industry, the food and water, the eco and experience industry, the mobility industry, and the well-being. Mobility is different from transportation. Well-being is different from healthcare. This is a new kind of thing. I think your country has the greatest opportunity to leverage on these trends, having the foresight and know-how to take you into those spaces. Which means you have on the left here the industries in the making, the new concept, which we think is very rapidly coming around the globe. But the point is, you cannot create that without having strong enabling industries, such as was said, ICT. Everybody needs fiber. You also need strong finance, and you need strong mobile and strong business and management service. Without those three linked, of course, together with the energy situation, you cannot develop the traditional industries into the new cluster development. So I think you're on a good route because you said you will diversify your economy from oil and gas to a broader sense, to have more industries in place and make new things happen. I think you're trying to actually to create a new legacy. I meet countries sometimes who consume legacies. I think you are not into downloading what others are doing. I think you are into uploading, creating something new in your context, which means how should we make it happen? 2 minutes. Number one, I think the public sector and the private sector is very different. There's a mutual support from each other. And here you can say in public sector the goal is service, the mean is money. But in the private sector, it's the money who is the goal, and the service who is the mean. Of course, it's different. So my point is, right in the midst, state-owned entities. To me, they are a key vehicle and a tool for the future to develop new country systems and innovation and growth and development and how to diversify the economy. The problem today is not money. The problem is we have problems with absorbing innovation. State-owned entities can absorb innovation in a local context and create markets and create opportunities before international capital comes and eat it up. We've seen it in Sweden. I was speaking in the parliament in Sweden 2 months ago, and we need to figure out how can we create local market. That means these companies, you can take, for example, the Swedish example, Skype went away to Silicon Valley, SoundCloud went away to Berlin, because lack of home market. If we create home market, you will keep, sorry, I'm very cold. You will keep the R&D department and you will go global in a good way. So what I'm trying to say is, we need to ask questions about what is the purpose with our state-owned entities. Why do we own them? What's the mission? Second, how do we govern? How is the process? How do we direct and control and manage? And what's the new scorecard of the future when we should measure success? I think we have talked too much about return on investment in financial terms. That is, for sure, very important. But I tell you, I think this type of scorecard in the future for state-owned entities, city-owned companies, even some private companies will be most relevant. Growth and financial capital, sustainability and energy, innovation and industry process, public service and welfare, and job creation and social capital. If we get this holistic approach, my friends, into the next level of innovation, practically speaking, for each and every state-owned entity, and also those who are working both private and public, we can do miracles in the future. Absorbing innovation, creating new markets, creating jobs, etc., etc. Think about if all state-owned entities have their own innovation agenda directed from the central government, which means the system has to be all these stakeholders: central government, cities, science parks, university, SOEs, venture cap, and the private sector. And this is trying to apply your situation. You have your objectives on the left, you have what you say you focus on: agribusiness, sustainable energy, mobility, electronics, food, and etc., and tourism. But in the midst, as I said, we need strong ICT, strong finance, and strong renewables. On the right hand, that you can then create your innovation system with a new process of interactions between stakeholders. Central government is the key, in collaboration with regions, cities, private sector CEOs, and so on and so forth. So I would say the 5 challenges you have is to build trust, to absorb the market and the innovation, create transformational projects, entrepreneurial culture, and I'm speaking from my own country, Sweden. It took us 30 years to get entrepreneurship out of the school system. We finally did it. That's a part of the entrepreneurship. We need societal entrepreneurs in politics, in private sector, in not-for-profit sector, social entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurship is a way of living, and smart funding, of course. Finally, I would say we need a better accounting system in the public sector. We have falling short. Globally, we don't know what the debt is, we don't know what asset is, we don't know the GDP the debt of GDP, because we have not the pension, we have not a solid balance sheet, so we are currently dealing with this. My advice would be to implement IPSAS, the International Public Sector Standards. It goes around the globe right now to come into accrual accounting. More transparency and accountability, improving decision-making, and increasing the reputation. I think that is what's happening in about between 25 to 100 countries around the globe. I think you will be one of them. My final comment. Reporting, as I said before, is more than money. Your task is to report finance, report intellectual, report the social, report innovation. And I think it's absolutely clear to me that you are in a process of trying to, as I said before, creating a legacy, which means you should ask this question, my final slide. Shaping the future of Azerbaijan by tradition. You can ask how many seeds are in an apple. You can pick the low-hanging fruits, and about 8 seeds in an apple. But my point is, I think you have the capacity, when I read your documents, to do like this. Create the future of innovation by asking a question, how many apples are there in a seed? It's indefinite. And if you cultivate the business environment, the government companies, SOEs, and people around, you will be much better off. Thank you very much for listening.